Okay, hello and welcome to Famicast 123, your Famicast for the early part of April 2018. I'm Danny, and today I'm joined by James Charlton.
It's good to be back, baby.
Good to have you here, I guess.
Well, I never left, but you know.
Well, yes.
Sounds more impressive.
Yes. Well, speaking of...
I killed another member of the family crew this week as well.
Yeah, so not only is Sairus still gone, Ty, rest his soul.
Best of luck to him.
Can't make it here today, but we are joined by a very, very special guest, Mr. Nico Vliek. Nico, how you doing?
Greetings from Great Britain. It's me.
So, Nico, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you do and like maybe where people might have seen your work before?
Yeah, sure. So I got into contact with the Famicast due to my Super Nintendo post, which I made recently, which is essentially remaking 300 Super Nintendo logos to make them look like even sharper than they already are on the internet. But you also might have known me from works with, designing stuff for YouTubers, maybe my streams you've seen in the past. But essentially I'm like an artist on the internet and helping just like other YouTubers out. That's essentially what I've been doing over the past years. And you may also know me from the Yoxcast at this point, but I'm more like behind the scenes with the Yoxcast. So if you spotted me, then you got some good eyes, kid. You did pretty good.
Yeah, that tweet blew up, didn't it? The is it the 300 images, right?
Look, it's
300 logos.
You just make a meme and you get like 12,000 retweets. I mean, 12,000 likes. That's already one thing. That's almost something to be proud of. But something that you've put so much time and effort in, and that you're like, I hope people like this, and then you get that amount of likes to it. That feels incredibly good. That is, but also it doesn't also feel good. It also feels great that people get inspired by it as well, because I've had so many people saying, "Oh, I love this. I was already doing something like this with NES logos," and people saying, "Oh, I love it. I wish we had like with the Amiga or the Vectrex or that kind of stuff." So it's good to see it's starting to, it's boiling up a conversation with some people, and I think that's good because that was essentially what I was aiming for with it.
Well,
so
you chose a good console to do it for anyway. I wouldn't have gone for Amiga. Wouldn't have been my first option.
Well, to be fair, SNES wasn't my first option either, because I knew with I did first I did the PlayStation 1 because the PlayStation 1 is near dear to my heart.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, people love this, so I'm just gonna keep on making these as well. So I made for N64 at that point. That one blew up insanely. I got multiple responses from what was it? From N64 websites being like, oh, we can really use this, thank you very much. And then I did the Dreamcast. That one didn't really blow that up because it was it was a bit rushed. It was still a great quality, but it was a bit rushed at the time. And then I did GBA, and that one skyrocketed. I think at that point when I did those, people started to notice the value behind these logos.
I think I can notice a pattern there. Nintendo seems to be the strongest there.
Nintendo is always popular, but I think the strength behind these logos is essentially the nostalgia factor behind it, and that's what you notice with the comments you get as well. You get a lot of passionate comments about like, oh, it's so good to see Donkey Kong Country this sharp, or it's amazing to see all these games that I used to play with for this. Oh, this is going to be very useful for my work. But you get the flip side of it as well, because so many people are so attached to it in their own ways due to nostalgia. Nostalgia is already like a very gray area in regards to like how you exactly remember things. So you also get loads of comments saying, the E is supposed to be a bit of a lighter blue than just a darker blue.
I noticed that. I noticed you were already like updating the ones you'd already done. Like you'd missed off a star on one of them or something. What was it? I can't remember.
I did update a few. Yeah, I've updated with the Super Nintendo. I think it's very integral to update them, especially since there's so many logos of them. So I did try to update them frequently.
Well, you only did it 300. How did you choose those 300?
So, I had a few methods with it. Like initially I went into it with the idea of, okay, I need to make sure that I tackle as many logos as I can, which I took very literally. So first off, I just went to Wikipedia and looked for, I just typed in list of all Super Nintendo games. That's what I got. So I got like a list of like 800 games or something. Now, obviously, when you remake these logos, there's a certain workflow to it, how you exactly make them. It's not as like, okay, you just draw over it and bam, it's done. So not all the logos I could make. So sometimes I had to make sacrifices. Like, sadly, I couldn't make Illusion of Gaia and A Link to the Past because those were hand-drawn logos. And if you translate that to digitally, it's not going to translate as well.
Okay.
But then I went through the Wikipedia list, and then I was like, okay, now I got the big chunk of all the Super Nintendo logos. Now to look for the more obscure ones. So I was like, okay, so you have the BSX, from what I remember, which is the base satellites thing that you had with the Super Famicom, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, look through that list, tackle those, and then I was like, okay, I got that one. But Super Famicom probably has like a loads of Japanese-only games that are probably missed, or beta games. So I went through those as well. I ticked those off, and then I looked up some YouTubers like SNES Drunk. You probably heard of him before.
Yeah.
Metal Jesus Rocks, which does like loads of list videos of like all kinds of games you can collect. And I was like, okay, since they talk a lot about hidden gems, so probably these games are probably appreciated by very like cult favorite games. Right. So that's essentially how I went through it. So I just went through the generic list, then started to dig a bit deeper in like what kind of hardware specifics were on it, and then I started to dig through the fan base, be like, okay, which logos are also very pleased by fans, because honestly it is kind of like for the fans. After all, you have to make sure that you tackle the logos that matter, because I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there are some people say like, oh, there are way too many sports games on PS4 and on Xbox One. I'm like, you haven't seen the Super Nintendo yet.
I'm glad you didn't do it in like alphabetical order or something, because you would have had like baseball, 93, whatever, 94, NBA. There's like all those repeated things. I'm glad you didn't do it that way.
Truth be told, I did skip a few football and soccer and baseball logos, because I just felt like they didn't really have that much of an impact. I did tweet out a few times, being like, okay, well, there's so many soccer games out there. Which ones are the ones that matter? And then people pointed out, oh, you need to do International Superstar Soccer.
I was going to say,
I did that one. But sadly, I couldn't do the deluxe part of it. I did like a bit of it, but there was like a golden ball that was hand-drawn which said deluxe, which I couldn't remake, sadly.
Okay.
But I did make the initial logo of it. But yeah,
that's a great
obviously, game. Yeah, I've heard great stories about it, yeah. I've never played it, but I did look it up, and I was like, the voice samples in are so clean for what it was. It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. For Danny, have you even heard of ISS?
Yeah, I know what it is.
It's a Konami game, and it's got good Konami music and good Konami graphics. It's great.
Konami was great back in the early 90s. I would even say like end 90s as well, with like Panzer Dragoon and Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. But they had a really good moment in the early 90s, I'd say.
Yeah.
Didn't they also make UN Squadron, or was that Capcom? I think it was Capcom, wasn't it?
Question.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Well, I love UN Squadron. That was one of my favorite ones.
Cybernator is one of my favorites from SNES Konami game. Cybernator. I don't know if you did that one.
Yeah, I did that one, yeah. I actually remember that one. It had like a weird chrome texture to it or something. What I remember is like very like curvy letters to it. Yeah, I remember that one.
Nice.
Also, what's probably good to point out is that when I do these like logos and whatnot, believe it or not, but since I've done these logos in Illustrator for so long, it actually becomes therapeutic sometimes when you redraw them. Think of it like coloring in an image, or connecting the dots. That's essentially what I'm doing with my mind at that moment. So I'm just zoning out, focusing on this, and that's why when I'm making them. So I'm actually hitting two birds with one stone with that one. That's probably like why I'm making loads of them, because I'm very stressed. But whatever.
I think, well, game preservation is kind of a big thing at the moment, isn't it? Like lots of old games being lost, or like things that were online and now no longer available online. So all these features and modes are just lost to time. And I guess the logos, the artwork, because it's only the press and the developers themselves that get access to the high quality images, right? The general public, they only ever see the the shrunk down, JPEG, super low res JPEGs on websites, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of these, massive Photoshop files they also might get lost to time. So it's good to have them preserved as well. Well, obviously the SANS SAM didn't have those big resolution files back then, but
this is why I was like to myself, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give the vector files with it as well, in case for people that don't know what vector files essentially are, because I kind of had to explain it to a few people, but essentially what you have with a vector logo is that they, rather than having pixels, they work as coordinates. So think of it as like a line connecting to another line.
Right.
And the computer memorizes like these 2 points and what kind of position they are. So you could basically increase that as much as you want. You can make that as big as a building or as small as a fleet. It doesn't matter. It'll always maintain the same resolution, which means that you can use these logos for 8K, 16K, 32K, whatever comes beyond that. Essentially, we can use these for forever and ever. And that's the great part about it, until we find a successor to this. But that's way on right now.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because we get these like remakes of like 16-bit games, or like compilations or whatever. But I wonder what the companies actually do. Do they do what you do? Do they just redraw the original logos, or they just make completely new logos? I'm talking like Neo Geo Collection or whatever, those kind of things.
It honestly, I think it depends on the preservation. Like you have a company like, let's say, a Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts, like that completely dropped with the HD version. They had to remake everything from the ground up because they had no material to work with. Now, I do know that Nintendo has a huge database in regards to their old material. So there are very high resolution pictures out there. Now, granted, there are multiple ways how you can upscale an image. The best way to do it is to vectorize it at this point, but it depends on like what kind of material you work with. So it honestly just depends on like what company, how a company preserves their stuff, because Nintendo clearly knows they're kind of like the Disney at this point. So they just have so much material about like a warehouse full of like A Link to the Past drawings that are way sharper than the image they are right now on the internet. Because when you look at the art books from Zelda, like those art books, for instance, some of them I can see like, okay, these are remade, and some of them are like, yeah, these are made back in the day. They just happened like on that resolution.
Well, before they got rid of digital, they got rid of manuals, but then they also got rid of digital manuals on Switch, didn't they? Because like
really?
I remember on Wii U they had some. They used to, for the Virtual Console games, Danny, if I'm not mistaken, they used to scan in the old manuals, right? And you could actually view them on the Wii U gamepad while you were playing and stuff.
Depended on the system. I think they did that with like GBA or something.
Right. But
not
I think
all of them, but
I don't think there was scans. They were probably like the original whatever PDF files put on there. But they were decent resolution and stuff. So, but yeah, with the Switch, we got nothing. Well, we don't have Virtual Console on Switch, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is also probably like a good thing about the preservation, or at least, well, for this topic, it's a bad one. But the Shop Channel disappearing, for instance, as well, that was also like a huge gap, and everyone already predicted this was going to be a problem where. All these games are going to get lost over time, because I think it's going to be a shame that games like Castlevania Adventure Rebirth are going to be overlooked, because people are going to be like, oh, I wish there was a game like Castlevania 4. And then it's like, yeah, there is. It's called Rebirth, but it's not available anymore. It's a shame that these games are just not that out there. And obviously, there are other methods of, just hacking your system and that kind of stuff. But we're not going to go into that territory.
It's going to be like Flappy Birds, like people selling their iPhones with like Flappy Bird installed it for like $5,000. Like with whatever.
Yeah, hey, you already see that with some of the Super Famicom stuff. Like I think it's the Nintendo Power system they had here, where it's like a cartridge that you can get like basically a game put onto it, and sometimes you can see these things for sale. And
what's that? What's that chain called again in Japan with the blue stroke on the supermarket store? It's a very famous one.
Lawson, maybe?
Lawson, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, they used to have one of those cartridges. Yeah, I believe that a YouTuber did like a cover of that topic. But yeah, indeed, we're probably gonna get that. Yeah, we already see that with PT, on the PS4. But people are trying to sell that for more money,
Rip in peace.
with the value on it. But I think it's more of a situation right now of who's willing to pay for this rather than like preservation.
Yeah.
Because when you look at, let's say, like SNES, it's kind of like a I don't want to say a Russian roulette, but it's kind of like that. It's like, oh, there might be something valuable on this cartridge, and it takes up so much momentum because of it. Because I remember that Metal Jesus Rocks found like a cartridge in Seattle that potentially had a beta of an N64 game, and then they found out there was nothing on it. But he had to find very specific hardware to find that. But millions of people channeled into that because of it. So. I think it definitely depends on like how commercially available those games are, because now games are such a like commercialized topic and people love it, and people are willing to preserve it, that the rarity of it like vanishes a bit over time, I'd say.
Actually,
so I think
Danny, you've got a couple of good examples behind your head on the video there. You've got the Super Famicom Mini and the Famicom Mini. I mean, they've got the photographs and the artwork which are identical to what they used to be back in the day, and they're completely preserved. I'm assuming that they were the original artwork, and they've just repurposed them for the new systems, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, my Super Nintendo is like back on this other side, but I'd have to kind of.
Oh, what about the Secret of Mana collection, Danny? Do they have some kind of like redone logos or something in that one? I know the games are just like stuck on, they're just SNES games stuck on the on the Switch, but
yeah,
they've got like what is it, like the backgrounds or something, like using the original logos. Or
so are you talking about like in the game, or do you mean like on the package?
I'm let's say like the menus or whatever before you get into the games.
Extremely really well done, HD with usually it has like the logo, and then it has like the menu behind it. And for our listeners and viewers out there, if you check out, I did a video of it on our channel that you can check out. I go through like a brief intro of like that game, like what you can access from the menu, and you can see it looks all really, really sharp. It's really well done. Obviously, I have no idea, how they did it when it comes to assets and all that stuff. But I mean, hey, they did a bang up job.
There you go. That's a future job for you, Nico.
I've also noticed, Danny, like, I don't know if you've noticed as well, but I think we have the exact same Donkey Kong plushie.
Oh, you got
the back. Yeah, if you look over there, it's huge, by the way. It's probably the same one that you have.
Yeah, mine's.
Yeah, is it like this big? I say.
No. Mine's like a teeny tiny. Well.
Yeah, we got that one over there, I believe. If you can't really see it right now, but if you look.
Wow, there's a lot of plushies.
To the right of it, yeah, there's a lot of plushies. Yeah, my this is shared room with my girlfriend right now, and she just moved into this place, so she's kind of like reassorting where she could put stuff. So she's like, I'll just put the plushies up there then for now. So
are they hers or yours?
No, those are hers. Yeah, I did take some stuff with me from the Netherlands, but I was like, I probably would rather take a pair of trousers with me than 5 plushies, if you know what I mean.
Poor choice.
But yeah. But yeah, I was just like looking at it, I think that's the same one, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure it might be a different size, but I mean it's probably the same exact design.
It's good to see that you're representing the boy, the DK.
I think Diddy's up there too.
Oh, you get there? Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. I want that one.
I got a tingle on the other side of the room actually too. Wind Waker style tingle.
Okay, I don't want to see that.
Had to get that. Cool.
All right then. Cool. Yeah. So should we move on to some new business?
Yes, let's do it.
Sure.
Let's do it.
And if you're tuning into the Famicast for the first time, well, thank you. Hello. Welcome. New business is a segment where we talk about basically the games we've been playing here lately. And doesn't have to be on a Nintendo system. That's fine. Just whatever you've been doing. And usually we talk maybe about 1 or 2 games, just kind of depending on what we've been doing. So... Right. Nico, would you mind kicking off new business for us today? If you've been playing anything.
Oh, what kind of games I've been playing recently?
Yeah.
So far, well, obviously I'm kind of like a big of a Sony fanboy, so I try to play most with my PlayStation at the moment. So I bought Shadow of the Colossus recently. Oh. And nice. I love what they did with that remake. It looks so well. It looks really good. I think they I Well, essentially, it's like I think it's like the PS2 game or something, and they just like they super buffed it up essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've played that game. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Did you play it back in the day on PS2?
No, but I did play the HD version on PS3.
Because
looking at the
I did play it way back in the day when it first came out on PS2, and I just remember like talk, fanboy type of talk. My friends like were Sony, and I was like Nintendo, and they're like, "Dude, this game is like really cool physics, and it looks really great." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, how cool can it be?" And then I got it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is freaking amazing." Even though the frame rate was, kind of crappy back then, but I mean, just the gameplay and just the whole world, everything about that was just fantastic.
Well, they add like a 10 frames per second with each version, don't they? Started off with 20 frames per second on PS2, went up to 30 frames on PS3. Now it's finally in 60 frames in PS4. PS5 version, man, it's going to be a hell of a frame rate.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be finally that sweet 120.
Yeah, there you go.
No, yeah, I play on my PS4, and I'm also a bit of a retro gamer. So if I get the opportunity to play an old game, I try to do that as well. So I have a Vita, and I'm happy to own one. I'm one of like probably like the 2 people on the planet that love to have a Vita. But
I love the idea of it. I have it.
I love the idea of it. Brilliant. Yeah.
No, but I play like I'm trying to complete Sly 3 at the moment on it. I've played the Sly trilogy right now, and I'm finishing the 3rd one. Thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's a great game. And I bought a Switch as an anniversary gift 2 months ago. So we've been playing Odyssey occasionally on it as well.
Oh,
we
cool.
only got Odyssey and Breath of the Wild for now, but
that's enough.
We want to tackle those. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we've been kind of like out of the loop with the Switch for quite some time. We wanted to wait for the right moment to strike with it, and we thought this was probably the best moment.
The Vita is an unusual one because, like, here in Japan, you would expect it to be been really popular from the start, but it's kind of like a Monster Hunter system without a Monster Hunter game, so which is why it kind of failed. So it had to kind of what they ended up doing is just like sticking a lot of booby games on it. So that's what it ended up being in Japan. It's like, just lots of visual novels and, games where girls' clothes explode off them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, in another parallel universe, if it had, Monster Hunter 4 on that, I'm sure it would have been way, way more successful.
It's a fantastic handheld, but it just doesn't have any killer apps. That's the problem. Hold on. Do you have 1 second? Because the doorbell's ringing. Sorry.
Okay. No problem.
Well, yeah, as with all PlayStation portables, it just ends up being like an SNES emulation machine.
One cool thing that I do like about the Vita is that there is a really huge back catalog of PlayStation 1 games that you can get on there. And I've dipped into some of the PlayStation classics and stuff, while at least purchasing them. Like I remember,
brilliant.
I was like, "Hey, cool! This is $3, sweet!" And then I bought it.
Danny bought the shit out of that game. Didn't play it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've bought so many PlayStation classics on the Vita because I've always said it to people, like, if you've never played anything with Sony, I think probably the best thing to start off is either a PS3. Preferably you buy the first version because then you get a PS2 emulator with it.
Oh, good luck with that.
or yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, luckily we did find one because my girlfriend is a YouTube reviewer, and she wants to be as authentic as possible when she reviews games. So I was like, okay, well, if you want to review PS2 games and you want to record them properly, we decided to settle with a PS3 first model because that one has an HDMI in it.
Yeah.
And to make it less complicated for viewers out there, if you just work through HDMI, it's 10 times easier than to work with those red, white, yellow cables and the composites. It's notorious. You don't want to work with that. And honestly, the quality you get for it is just not as good.
And also, as a bonus, you get some money from that lawsuit as well, don't you? If you got one of the original PS3s, because they sell the lawsuit.
No, this is a second-hand one, so we probably lost on that one. But
you don't have the
receipt. No, but with the Vita, like the thing is that you can play PS1 games on it, and honestly, PS1 games are $5 and usually are on sale, so they're really cheap if you want to get them. And they remade Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, multiple other PS2 games that were essentially back in the day. So you get all of those games just in one place and you can take it with you everywhere you want. And honestly, they're pretty good for what you get from it. It's not the best experience, but it's feasible enough to say like, oh, okay, I think I kind of like Resident Clank for what it is.
Do they
So,
do they improve the loading times? Are they like, instantaneous? Like, do they just kind of?
Believe it or not, you can choose that. You can choose if you want to stay to the original disk speed of the PS1 or work through flash drive. Yeah, I think maybe like it crashes a few games, but apparently it can fix it. Actually, I believe it was on the that reminds me of a Grim Fandango because I was playing that on the Vita. But apparently, have you guys played Grim Fandango? By the way,
Yeah. I played the PC version back in the day.
So do you remember the scene with the elevator? We have to use the forklift in order to get to like one specific moment, but it was like a very like action time moment. Yeah. Well, apparently, if you had like a faster CPU processor back in the day, you could actually it would load the scene so fast that by the time you try to put the forklift into the machine, the game would already have surpassed it. So you would actually soft lock yourself because your PC was too powerful to play Grim Fandango.
Okay, so that didn't happen to me. I guess my PC was shit back in the day. Wasn't that good?
Yeah, but I think the loading times, obviously it works for flash drive, so it goes a bit faster, I'd say, but it's not remarkable. It's just the fact that the Vita is so cheap, you get the games for so cheap as well. You want to take it with you everywhere because I'm a busy guy, and I like to move around a lot. So having a Vita around is actually really useful. I'm more of a handheld gamer, if anything. I grew up with the GBA, the DS. Not really with the Vita. I just picked it up later. And now that the Switch is out, it's actually really useful because we have multiple moments where we just want to play a console game somewhere else because we have long journeys. But a handheld game just doesn't fill that gap with a huge game like, let's say, Mario Odyssey.
Right.
You always play like N64 games, but then a bit enhanced, I'd say, like Ocarina of Time. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, you want to get that full experience. That's the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And also you got this split, take the Joy-Cons off and play, two people on the same system, on a bus or train or something. That works.
Yeah, I really hope that Nintendo brings out like a Switch Pro at one point because that would be pretty good. Like, let's say it's a Switch 2.0 because they could fix like a few things like the Joy-Cons or the stand and that kind of stuff. And I think if they would just fix those little things, the Switch would be really useful to just like drop somewhere and start playing with it.
So you're talking about the lack of proper D-pad or something?
Yeah, I think if they could... my problems with it is indeed a D-pad. My problem is the battery life of it, because I can imagine if, let's say, you go to a convention and you're having the time of your life and you want to play with your friends, you can only play for like 2 hours, and then the thing is just basically it ran dry. Right. So, yeah, and not only that, but you have to charge the controllers again, and there's a lot of power problems that comes with the Switch. So they could probably fix that by putting more endurance in it. Obviously, I'm not a technician. It's probably more difficult than I'm saying it right now. But
yeah. There's a bunch of like batteries that work with the Switch, that you can take with you, give you an extra 3 hours.
Oh, that's great. I need to look into that.
System. Use at your own risk.
Oh, really? Does it kill the system?
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, just the battery charging thing is fine, right? Maybe.
Sure.
Okay. Scary. Cool.
Oh boy.
Yeah, then.
Yeah. What have you been playing then?
Yeah, actually, James.
Yes.
What have you been playing?
I bought a couple of games that were on sale. The UK eShop on the Switch had a massive sale with a bunch of stuff, like including Doom, which I'd already bought. Rip in peace. But they had Faye and Brawlout were both like sub 1,500 yen, which is like, I don't know, less than $15. And I had a few gold coins on my Nintendo account as well, so I could take another couple of quids off that as well. So yeah, basically picked those up, and because I've been looking at both of them for a while. Faye is it's an EA Originals game, which is kind of weird to see the EA logo when it's basically like an indie game, but I'm assuming it's like EA just funds an indie title or something like that.
Maybe they publish it. That could also be a thing.
I think it's just publishing and marketing is what they do.
Yeah. So it's basically like, yeah, it's a 3D action adventure game, but the graphics are kind of like low poly kind of look, like very kind of chunky polygons, and the colors are kind of muted, like purples and grays and blacks and stuff. But it looks kind of beautiful. It's almost like, you know, dreamlike in the way it is. Like I can't really compare it to another game. Maybe something like Journey on the PlayStation or something like that. But it's in a jungle environment, so you got lots of trees and rivers and kind of weird looking animals and stuff like that. And there's very little in terms of like tutorial or like text. There's like basically almost no text in this game. It's all done with like icons and visuals and like so I guess, yeah, this game is like very easily localized, I guess. You know, we had very minimal localization. I think there was a little bit of text here and there, but not very much. So basically you play this like little creature and you just have to explore this world and you know, further your progress through the world. And you do this by basically singing. So you go up to an animal that you find and you press the R button and he'll sing, and then you'll make this kind of connection, like a kind of almost like electrical circuit connection between the animal, and then you kind of tune into it, and then when you make a connection, then that will become your friend, and then they'll help you, they'll do something to the environment, or you know, you can ride on its back or something like that. So you got like, you know, deer, birds, stuff like that, like giant birds that you can ride on the back of and stuff, and they take you to the next part of the level. It has an open world feel to it, but I think it is pretty linear. Like it's obviously a very set path that they want you to go down. But yeah, it has this yeah, just really, like I said, just this kind of dreamlike look to it, and it's kind of amazing. The music is all very atmospheric, almost like kind of Breath of the Wild, you know, just not really like in your face boombastic soundtrack. It's just like, you know, almost incidental music, you know, like, you know, environmental music, and it's kind of cool. The only downside I can see is like, because it is, you know, it's not it's an indie game, you know, smaller studio, like there are some little kind of finicky things with the controls. It's not as smooth as, you know, like Mario Odyssey. I know it's very cruel to compare an indie game to Mario Odyssey, but you know, there are some things, you know, it sometimes doesn't jump where you want him to jump, or you know, parts of the level, you know, you can't stand on it when you thought you could stand on it, you slide off it and stuff like that. But you know, it doesn't really detract too much. Only a couple of hours into it so far, and yeah, enjoying it. And you know, for the price that I paid, it's like, you know, you have to think about, you know, what you paid and the team behind it, and you know, kind of rate it on that sense. And in that sense, it's really good. And if you're a fan of, like, you know, just kind of out there and just like something a little bit different, it's pretty cool. And the other, yeah, like I said, Brawlout was the other game, which Sairus has talked about a bunch, and he reviewed it for the site. It's basically Smash Brothers. It's your Smash Brothers game until November, when the Switch version probably comes out. That's just a prediction, by the way. Please don't write things about that.
It's September.
I don't know.
It's September.
You say September?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Like, just like, you don't need to back it up per se, but do you think the new Smash game is going to be a port or a new game?
Yeah, we talked about this maybe the last episode, right? Like, we're thinking it's something on the lines of Splatoon 2, in that it's basically, you know, 90% the same game, but it's got enough modes and extra things on it that they can call it a sequel.
Yeah,
it's basically like that.
Basically, you know? A new game, but kind of not. But
yeah, it's gonna play exactly like the Wii U version, but you know, they'll have done enough to it that they'll classify it as a new game.
I mean, if you look at the engine of Smash 4, like, not even on a competitive level, let's just put that aside for now. But but if you just look at the engine itself, it works so well. Like, why would you ditch that? And you can just put that on the Switch, because the Wii U hardware and the Switch hardware kind of work pretty well aligned. So I can just imagine Sakurai saying, okay, we'll just keep the game, put all the DLC in it, and then just add like a whole bunch of things on top of it. Like add all the 3DS modes in there. Let's fix the things we couldn't do, like the ice climbers, that kind of stuff. I can just imagine them doing it like that, so it becomes the ultimate package.
Yeah,
that's what I think essentially is what they're gonna do.
And fix the menu system. Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
what a horrible menu it was.
I feel so alone with this. I'm so glad to hear this, but the single play is so weirdly tucked away in it. Like, I get that Sakurai wants to say, hey, let's play Smash, but it's like, no, some people just want to play single player every now and then. So just put that a bit more like, I don't know, top right or something. But it's like, no, it's in other, and then another topic.
You go to options, you go to language settings, and that's where the single player is.
Yeah, exactly.
It does feel like that, right? Like, why is it in this menu? It's like... So yeah, I've only played like maybe like an hour of Brawlout, and it does have a really good tutorial actually. I hope Smash Brothers does this, like, because you know Smash Brothers doesn't really have anything other than like that intro video where it's like Bowser and Mario, and it's like push A and hit the stick to smash, which you don't even have to watch, but like Brawlout, it has like a very specific tutorial, like it teaches you how to smash, how you do these specials, how to get back on the stage, all the things that, like I said, it really is Smash Brothers. It's almost like, how have they not been sent to court? How close this game is to Smash Brothers. It's amazing. The only difference is there's no blocking.
Oh, okay.
There's no blocking in Brawlout. It's only dodging. So yeah, there's no like bubble shield or anything. That's the only thing that they don't have. But
that reminds me, James.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
Go ahead.
I think it was Brawlout as well. Yeah, I went to EGX last year, and there was another like brawler-like game.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like saying to my friend, "Oh, this game looks kind of a lot like Smash, doesn't it?" And when I said that, like the developer looked at me like. They were not fussed about it. They were absolutely not fussed about me saying that. So when you say something about Brawlout, just really be careful about not comparing it to Smash. Some people are really sensitive to that.
Well, the headline of my review is Smash is on Switch.
Yeah, Brawlout, it's not Smash.
So yeah, I mean, I looking back at Sairus's review after playing it, it kind of like makes a lot more sense. A lot of things he was saying, like it has this kind of upgrade structure to it. There's a lot of unbelievable amount of unlocks. Like they want you to play the game every day, and like it's like almost like a smartphone game. It's like if you play the game every day, you get like jewels and things unlock and stuff like that. Oh, it's very much like that. Maybe a little bit too much. Which is, I think Sairus said that's why he knocked it down a few points, because there is just so much to unlock. I mean, Smash Brothers has a lot of stuff to unlock, but they're kind of upfront about it. They've got that table of stuff that you can unlock, right? So and it's usually meeting specific requirements, isn't it? Like you play this mode this many times, or you defeat this person X amount of times, and you get this or whatever, right? That. But Brawlout seems to be a little bit more monotonous in what they expect you to do. There seems to be a lot of characters to unlock as well, and a lot of skins. Like, holy crap, like every character has like 10 different skins that you have to unlock. So, yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a fun game to play multiplayer. The online scene is good because I'm playing this after the patch. When it was, which is why the review was delayed so much, because the online just basically didn't work. But they had a massive patch, and now it works really well. I had no problems playing online. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one to play until November when it goes in the trash.
Was the matchmaking? Did you connect to people pretty quickly, or a lot of people?
Yeah. Very, very quickly, very quickly. It was a Japanese person. There were Japanese people. So
okay.
Yeah, this is out on the Japanese shop.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's got a name change. I think it's the same name in Japanese.
Sure, the same. Might even just be in English too.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you could be right. And the last game I'll just talk about very, very briefly. So Jules Watson, which many listeners probably know, he's the lead whatever director of Atui Games. They made like Chicken Wiggle and the Mutant Mudds games, and his little Metroid game called Zeo Drifter. He just knocked 50% off on the eShop this week. So, and it's already a cheap game. I think it was like £10, $10.
Can you perhaps do that for the Chicken Wiggle Kickstarter?
Yeah, yeah, maybe it's celebrating.
Yeah, that got funded, didn't it? Did it meet the Grand Kirkhope goal?
I think it did. So
great.
The Chicken Wiggle. I think it's called Chicken Wiggle Workshop, which is like the Mario Maker version of the Chicken Wiggle. It's going to have all these level create and stuff, and like you said, the X-Rare composer is going to have some music in it, which is pretty cool.
I can imagine that he did that as like saying like, oh, thank you for financing my game.
I think he did it before.
Oh, okay.
So maybe
he's
it was
just a
like
nice guy then.
Yeah, seems like it.
Always like cross promotion. It's like, look, I'm giving you half off. At least give me some money for the Chicken Wiggle. The money you save on Zeo Drifter, you can spend on my Kickstarter. and it works. But it worked on me anyway. So I've been interested in Zeo Drifter because this was our 3DS game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe it came at a time when I was kind of less interested in buying games on 3DS. I always liked the look of it, like a kind of chibi-fied, cute, like Metroid game. So it makes a lot of sense to have it on Switch. So basically, this is like this is more akin to like original Metroid in that there's huge sections of the game that you have to go through with no save points and no pickups and no energy like you can't get any energy pickups or anything. And if you die, you go way back to your ship and you start it all again, and you lose all progress. So that kind of initial difficulty curve really hit me in the ass. So I kind of had to take a deep breath and put it down for a day or so before I go back to it. Just the good thing is it does have a checkpoint system before the boss. There's a first boss that I got to, and there's a checkpoint just before going in. So thank God they didn't make you do the boss, right from the start. So but I'm gonna have to get good at this game. It's unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of those games where you have to kind of like memorize where enemy's placement is, and just be very, very cautious. It's not like on the surface it looks like a very kind of cute chibi game that you can just kind of dash through and just like blast everything in your way and just like have fun like that. It's not. You have to be careful. You have to go slowly. Make sure you're not going to run into anything, because you got 4 hits basically when you start, and you're dead. And there's no coming back. So have you guys played this at all?
I have not.
Zeo Drifter? Okay.
No.
Yeah, well, I believe it's still on sale if anyone's listening and interested. Get it while it's cheap. It's like less than £5 at the moment, so worth a shot. So yeah, it's a bunch of other kind of demos and stuff that I've been playing, but not worth talking about.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and close this out with the new business. So yeah, I'm on the tail end of like a spring vacation right now, so I've had a lot of time to play games, but I've been spending a lot of time watching movies on Netflix. But that, and also I got like the PlayStation anthology book from Geeks Line. I've been kind of reading through that. It's fun.
Oh, what's this book you're on about?
What's that?
What's the PlayStation anthology book? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's like basically this. I forgot the name of the guy. This team of like French dudes. They put together. Well, they did it for the N64 also, and they did it for the PlayStation 2. And what it is, it's kind of this like the PlayStation 1 talks a lot about the history of Sony. It talks about the history of the PlayStation, and they have like tons of interviews with a lot of like really prominent people from the PlayStation era. And yeah, it's really interesting to like read these interviews and stuff. And yeah, it's just kind of like almost like an encyclopedia, more or less. But I mean, the N64 anthology, it had like reviews for every game, but there's probably like 4 times more games on the PlayStation 1.
Right.
So yeah, there was no way I think they were going to do reviews for every single game.
That's a real encyclopedia. That's like
yeah,
8
no
books.
kidding. Yeah, it's like 8 volumes, you know.
It's funny you say that because when like I've hit this threshold right now with the Super Nintendo, N64, and PS1 where I don't really look at reviews anymore. I just kind of look at it like, okay, what's this game? What's it all about? Okay, it's a Resident Evil clone, whatever. I'll try it. And then you play it. You just play it. You want to see what kind of like pros and cons you can pick out of it rather than being like, okay, this is a 7, must be all right then.
Sure.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I don't look at a review of Chaos Break and say like, okay, it's a 6, so I'm gonna get like some kind of enjoyment out of it. I just like, okay, it's an interesting topic, interesting take on it. Let's see what it is. Like, I don't know. That's how I look at old consoles right now. It's more maybe because of the nostalgia feeling that I get with it. But yeah, I don't know. Just don't look at the numbers anymore.
Sure, I feel you. And like with the N64 book, like their reviews, they're really, I mean, they're tiny, like probably like 160 characters or something. Because they want to like, you know, fit them all in for like all the games. And usually they kind of tell you about what the game's about. And then like, this is a piece
It's
of garbage.
Mario. You pick up the stars and you do that 120 times.
Yeah. Or if it's something like, you know,
That's a Famitsu review.
super short and concise. Have, you know, they have other information.
This game is made by Nintendo. 40 out of 40.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of games that I've actually been playing that aren't encyclopedias, so for a video series on the YouTubes, I've been playing a game that I played a couple years back. It's called Sute Hakun, and it's a Super Famicom game.
I remade that logo.
I know.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Dude, when I was looking through all the logos, I said, "Oh man, is it going to be on here? Is it going to? Oh my God, there it is!"
Yeah, SNES reviewed it. So when I saw Sute Hakun, I was like, I need to add this to the list.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why I was like, that rings a bell. Because I had struggling with like how to type that one because it was like SUITTE or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's just Romanti doesn't make any sense to European, I'd say, but that's just me, I say.
No, it looks weird to us as well. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but yeah. So what this game's all about, if you don't know, and like I said, I think I talked about it on the show maybe 3 years ago now because
Really?
I'm playing it.
Was I on that show?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm playing it on the Wii U, and what I really like about the Virtual Console on the Wii U as compared to maybe with the Wii, they're getting a lot more rare games that they've never had released since the original release of the game. And Sute Hakun's one of those. This is a really kind of complicated and weird release history. Like it started out on the SATELLAVIEW, and then it moved over to the Nintendo Power System, like we talked about earlier. You go to the store Lawson, I think it's one of the stores, and you can, basically rewrite your data on these little cartridges and stuff. But from what I've read, the game was so popular that they decided to actually release it as like, regular retail cassette, back in like 99 or so. So yeah, this game, kind of has a crazy history. And what this game is too, just in case you have no idea, it's this cute puzzle platformer action type of game where you're controlling this little bird, and he's like this little transparent bird, and you have all these different blocks and like these different color like ink and stuff, and you're just basically trying to get to like this little shiny rainbow type of goal, and once you touch that, you clear the stage. And if you're using, like, let's say they have red, blue, and yellow colors, if you can take the little bird and you can suck up some of that paint, and you can put it into like blocks, and if it's red, that'll make the blocks go like up and down. If it's blue, the blocks will go like left and right. If it's yellow, they'll go like diagonally. So you're like using all of these type of things to try to maneuver through these levels and get to the goal. And it's really fun and really freaking hard after a while.
Nice.
Yeah, lots and lots of really tricky things. Sometimes, I mean, I decided to just kind of set the controller down and just be like, I can't fucking do this. But
it's weird. I don't ever think of the Super Famicom as having those cartridges you take to the convenience store, because like I know obviously the Famicom disc system was a huge thing,
Yeah.
500 yen, you know, put the game on your floppy disk.
Yeah.
But the Super Famicom were actual cartridges, weren't they? Like blank cartridges.
Yeah, I mean,
I was in Super Potato a few days ago, as you'll find out later in this episode. And there's a bunch of those blank cartridges for sale.
Yep.
And it always throws me. It's like, what are they for? You know, can you actually use these for anything right now?
Yeah, I mean, if they have like some kind of game on there, yeah, you can use them.
There was another. Dan, do you know about these Super Famicom? Like very small, thin, almost kind of like I don't know what it looks like, almost like a Game Boy style cartridge, but it's not a Game Boy cartridge. It was called Super Famicom. Like it wasn't this system, but it was like man, I can't remember what it was called, but like these kind of long, thin games, and it's like looked like it slot into another thing. I remember maybe you talking about something like that, like the maybe it was on Famicast Collector's Corner, the that kind of weird card battle system, whatever, right? What was that? That you talked about the the Famicom card reader thing.
Oh yeah,
where you put cards into a cartridge into your system.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. It's called the Daytech Joint ROM system. I have it behind me.
Yeah, there was something like that, but for the Super Famicom, and there were a bunch of these like cards that you could plug in, and it was like I'd never seen them before. Really weird.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to see what it looked like. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I should have taken a picture of it. Really.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a bunch of like blank Game Boy cartridges as well. So there must have been a Game Boy system as well.
There was for this Nintendo Power System. There's a thing for Super Nintendo, and there's ones for Game Boy as well. That you could do that. You can get these games, and I mean, I don't think there was as cheap as what you can get with the disc system.
Right.
But still cheaper than buying like an actual cartridge.
Yeah, 500 yen was a bargain back in the day.
Can I point one thing out as well, guys? Like one thing I bought this week at one point, because recently in England these things came out, and I was curious if you guys had these as well in Japan or if they're already out. But essentially, we now have these figurines called Totaku over here, and essentially what they are
Sony
figurines you can collect.
The Sony amiibo,
it's not. It's an amiibo, but not with the amiibo support.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you can call them. Yeah, they're just trying to rival with them. But yeah, they are pretty lush. I bought pretty much all the Sony ones. They're in the back, but you can't really see them right now. But I have Parappa over here. But yeah, they come with like their own. Oh, you can't really see it right now. But essentially, it comes with like little patterns, and as you can see, Parappa is flat as well, like he is in the game.
Yeah. I missed a Game and Watch.
Like, but do you guys have this at the moment in Japan as well? Then, where you have like all these characters that you can collect from video games, from the Totaku collection, as it's called over here.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm kind of a homebody though. Yeah, James has to like travel for work, so would maybe have more of a chance to see this type of stuff than me. I mean, I just go to like 7-Eleven. That's about it. Can't really buy a lot of action figures there.
I don't think I've seen these Totaku collections. Maybe they must have them in Japan, right? I haven't seen any.
Oh goodness! Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the box, and down here they have like advertisements for GameStop and EB Games. In case you don't know, GameStop and EB Games are not companies in England right now.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I think they just ported these over, I suppose. But yeah, for people, if people are curious about these things, they're a bit bigger than amiibos. I'd say the paint is a bit less good than it is on amiibos, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because obviously, amiibos took a bit of time till it actually got great quality as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they cost at the moment £30 each at Game. I don't know. I'm not sure if they're like cheaper somewhere else, but I think for what you get for it, maybe look elsewhere if you can find it for cheaper. Like,
so they don't actually do anything.
No, they don't do anything. No, I know it's the worst. But the thing is that like it's the exact same with like Earthbound merchandise. It's like, when are you ever gonna get this? And having characters like Crash Bandicoot and Heihachi over there and Parappa, having those figurines officially from Sony, you're probably never going to get that in the upcoming 5 years.
That's cool.
So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that's out there in the UK right now.
I just
curious if you guys have similar.
I was just looking at a Polygon article about it, and it says they're made by ThinkGeek, which is a GameStop company, made like a company owned by GameStop. But it says a bunch of them are supposed to be $9.99. Is that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think it's just game shenanigans with it. Like in the UK, the problem is with the UK is that you don't really have that much offer out here with main retailers. You have CEX, Game, and probably a few others as well, but I haven't seen those yet in the UK, and I've only been in the south of the UK thus far.
Yeah, so maybe it's a Western line.
Yeah, the name itself, like Totaku, it's kind of like on the nose. So I think I can imagine that it's probably like in English we're looking at Japan. It's like, well, just let's call it Totaku then.
When I searched for Totaku in Japan, it came up with this Japanese website, and it was like a heavy industries website. Nothing to do with video games whatsoever.
Same guys, definitely the same guys.
Totaku heavy industries,
Yeah.
There you go.
But
but I'm sure there are bunches of figures of every kind in Japan. Like there are whole stores, like streets lined in Akihabara, full of figures. I was there a few days ago, and it was just it's just ridiculous. There's like 7 stories of figures, so I'm sure you can find Parappa the Rapper one in there somewhere.
But is it actually that popular, or is it just more like a staple from Japan? Like, do Japanese people actually? Yeah, do Japanese people actually come over to these stores to spend loads of money occasionally to get figurines?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say like every high school boy has at least one giant figurine in his house at any one time. It's just kind of like a way of showing your support, or just like your geekness, appreciation towards a certain anime or game. I often ask my students, what at university, I teach at university, and like pretty much everyone, including the girls, say they have at least one.
That's so cool. You're just gonna ask a class like, which figurine do you have? Like, if you would ask that in college today in the UK, they'd probably be like, I'm not 12, sir. I'm sorry, but I don't have them anymore. But yeah,
in Japan, people are like counting on both of their hands, like how many Heihachi figures do I have? I've got 3 upstairs. Anyway. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
The 100 yen shops, the equivalent of like dollar stores, pound shops, they just sell plastic cabinets to hold these figures. It's just amazing.
Great.
So,
but yeah,
Danny, sorry.
No problem. Back to Suitehakun. I mean, it's a really fun game, and it's a goddamn shame that it doesn't have like an official release outside of Japan. I did hear that, I guess back in November of last year, somebody made like an English patch for the game. So if you
bless those people,
they
get so less credit, I would say. It's amazing to feel like someone just spent like years sometimes just translating something, and it's like, now you can finally play it, and then nobody gives them credit. I'm like, these people have worked years for this. And it's not like Japanese is like, it's just like, you follow one bachelor degree and you got it. Like, no, you have to work your butt off to become in the position that you guys are in. I believe you have to get like 2 master classes or something in I want to say Japanese, but it's probably a different word for it.
To do what?
To become like an English teacher in Japan.
Oh, you need to have at least a bachelor's degree. If you just want to teach in like high school or lower, just a bachelor's degree is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like 2 master classes or something. From what I've heard.
Yeah, for university, you need a master's degree or a PhD for that year.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right then.
Yeah, but
so Danny, have you completed this game yet?
No, and because I think when I was playing originally, there's like 100 stages, and there's a couple like bonus stages as well. I got through about 60, And for a series I'm doing on our page, I'm through like the first 4 levels of like 10 stages each, and yeah, it can get pretty brutal. I mean, eventually I want to try to clear it all, but yeah, I mean, I remember now. I'm kind of remembering why I quit playing. Back like 3 years ago, like going through some of these ridiculously hard puzzles. Just sometimes I'm just sitting there for like an hour, just thinking like, oh my god, how the hell do I do this? But some of them that since it's the ones that I'm doing right now are ones that I've already done. Sometimes it comes back to me after a little while. So videos have some cuts and stuff. It's like, if not, it's gonna be like, here's a 2-hour video of me doing one fucking stage. So
it would be embarrassing if you couldn't do a stage you had already completed.
Yeah, well, no, that's happened.
Awesome. It does have a very very futuristic design aesthetic to it. Like it's almost like out of its time, like ahead of its time. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like a Super Nintendo, Super Famicom game. It looks like like a DS game, or something like from the next generation.
Yeah, and like another cool feature they have on there as well. I mean, with the Wii U Virtual Console, there's like save states and stuff that you could monkey around with, but this game actually has like a quick save option in the stage. So if you're coming up to a point where, let's say, there's like a really tricky jump, and if you screw up, you have to like basically do all sorts of puzzly things again and stuff. But if you do like the quick save, then you can just you fell down the hole, no big deal. Quick load back up, boom.
And that's part of the game itself?
Yes, in the game, like in the pause menu in every level.
There you go. Like I said, that's amazing. Yeah. So who developed this game, by the way?
So this was developed by Indies Zero and like Nintendo. And Indies Zero, they did Final Fantasy, Curtain Call, and what the heck? They're working on the new game coming out on Switch, Sushi Striker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, this is basically one of their first projects that they ever did. So.
What a weird pedigree.
Yeah.
Did you like Sudehaken? You like Sushi Strikers.
Yeah.
Literally no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, really limited marketing appeal with that, I think. But they can go for it.
Good luck to them.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I've been playing a couple of other things. There's a game I'm working on a review for. It's a game called Bomb Slinger. You'll be hearing about that basically around like
Bomberman. It's basically Bomberman, isn't it?
It's basically like Bomberman in Wild Wild West. Yeah, yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
Jim West.
What's that?
Jim West, right? Wiki.
Exactly. Cool. Well, that's going to do it for me in new business. So we're going to go ahead and move on to now playing at thefamicast.com.
I'm going to assume Ty has been playing Far Cry 5, Far Ty 5.
Maybe. Yeah. Business. Yeah, excuse us for a second here, Nico. We have to pimp some of our site things and all of that.
That's all right.
Okay. All right, James, now playing at Famicast.com. Lots and lots of stuff going up on the sites.
Yes.
Yes. I'll go ahead and kick us off because we got a new patron, and I just want to give a big thanks to him/her. This is Keita Fuki, and he's our newest Patreon. One thing that he said, in kind of like a chat and stuff, he's like, man, I felt so bad for taking this long to hop on. I've been listening to the Famicast since Johnny Metz, was still on NWR. Heck, since the first time Greg was on it. Heck, since Minoru was on the Famicast. So, I mean, he's been a long-time listener, and hey, thank you for that, and thank you for your support on Patreon. We really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, while we're talking about Patreon people, I just wanted, because we're coming up to like a year of our Patreon. Basically, this is the 12th month of our Patreon season 1. So next month we're going to launch our Patreon season 2, and we're going to have different tiers, different rewards. And if you already subscribe, you might find yourself getting more cool stuff. So look forward to that. But just our top 3, like I'm going to call them Patreon Hall of Famers, who just donated so much and were just so appreciative. And that's Rich, Joel, and Chris. Just like, you guys are amazing, and we just wanted to say thank you so much for your support over this year. It's really meant a lot, and we've been able to like get all this cool new equipment and all sorts of other stuff, and it's been so helpful, and it's really makes us appreciate you guys so much, and just thank you so much. And as for stuff on the site, obviously we've got Famicast Friday coming up. Well, we just passed Famicast Friday because we're recording this on a Saturday, which is kind of throwing me a bit. So Famicast Friday in the past, Danny, like Danny was saying earlier, his stream of Sutehaken, and kind of this bizarre coincidence, I actually uploaded a stream of Chroma Gun, which is a color-based puzzle game, and Danny had a color-based puzzle game, but with like 5 generations of Nintendo consoles between them. So, yeah. But it was a good kind of coincidental pair up, and yeah, it worked out quite nicely.
Yeah,
so yeah, check them out.
Yeah, and with that, the stuff with Sutehaku, and that's a new video series we're doing called Famicast Retro. Sutehaku's kind of kicking it off, but I'm going to try to do some other cool Japan-only stuff if I can. I might get into some more stuff that everybody knows about too, but I think for the first couple ones, I'm going to try to focus on maybe some kind of rare stuff, more stuff that maybe people in the West don't know much about. Or
have you guys covered Radical Dreamers at one point?
No, we haven't.
Okay, well that's one topic I'm curious about because nobody talks about it. I only know it's like a Chrono. No, I believe it's Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
like Chrono Trigger sequel or something like that. I don't know. It's just not a lot of coverage of it, but it's Chrono Trigger related. So I'm like, must be big. Right, I know there's a translation out there.
Yeah, it's like a visual novel type of thing.
And yeah, it's a story.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until I heard about it on the Retronauts podcast like 5 or 6 years ago.
It is the only, in regards to like when I remade that logo, that was the only logo on the whole list that I just based it off of the title screen rather than the box art. Okay. I have one rule of thumb, and it's like just based it off the box art because I don't want to make it look convoluted and complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Radical Dreamers. That's one game I was like, what is this game? Why are people not talking about this? Is it just going over my head, or am I not seeing anything about it?
Yeah, and I guess with box art for that, I think it was SATELLAVIEW only. So
that's why.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a box. So hey, good for you doing what you did.
That's why I had to stick with the title screen for that one.
Yeah.
But since it was Chrono Trigger related, I was like, it has to be in the list.
And as for more Famicast retro stuff, and we're currently trying to twist Ty's arm to play some of the weirdo Super Famicom games he often talks about on the show. Get him to actually stream some of that. I think that'd be interesting if we can manage to convince him to do that.
Yeah.
All of this and more on the Famicast game.
All right. So, James, it's that time again.
Sit your asses down. It's time for the Japanese.
That's right. Time for the news. We got a kind of a healthy dose on the news here that we're going to go ahead and go through. Some of them a little bit sadder than others.
Well, not the first one, right, Danny? Happy birthday to us.
Oh, yeah.
We totally neglected to say this last episode. So March 2011
yes,
was the first episode of the Famicast, which happened just as the Great Earthquake happened, just before. So and then a month after that, my first son was born, and my son is also going to be 7 soon. So yeah, Famicast is 7 years old. And,
congratulations, guys!
Thank you. We couldn't believe it, and I blame Danny for not remembering, even though we all forgot. So yeah, I tweeted out the first episode, and if you want to go back and listen to it, in case you didn't know, the first 100 episodes of the Famicast are on iTunes as Famicast Archives, and they all belong to NintendoWorldReport.com. So anything after 100, 101 onwards, they're on the Famicast.com on our individual website. So yeah, go back and listen to episode 1 and just see what a fucking shambles it was.
Or maybe see how far we've digressed over the years. I don't know. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, as they say.
I know we used to give away a lot of Japanese merch that we'd accumulated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone away from that, you know.
And I would just throw it in my closet and forget about it until I'm like
Yeah.
cleaning shit. I'm like, oh, why do I have this?
all this Tokyo Game Show stuff, you know, we should really just give it away.
Yeah, but then I'm thinking in my head, but I need this.
No, you don't.
I don't. I really don't.
Right in. Should we give away our Tokyo Game Show merchandise to you guys or not? Let us know.
If you want, I will just send a box of stuff that I'm not even going to go through. So don't even know. It might even be TGS stuff. Could be like
Random box of crap from Danny.
tissues.
All right then. So yeah, but yeah, you're right, Danny. This first bit of news is a bit sad.
Yes.
Shocking almost.
Yeah.
So we had a
ahead.
bit of a fright, didn't we? Because as part of our Patreon goals was to like get, you know, obviously capture equipment and then like a dock, like a second dock, and all three of us ended up getting these like little mini dock adapters, which are like these tiny little things that you can plug into your Switch, and you can basically just play, you know, take it on the go, plug it into your hotel TV or whatever, or if you're in an event or something, you just like plug it straight in. So it turns out like all third-party docks are now at risk of bricking your Switch.
Oh goodness, that's big.
Yeah. So like there are some like, you know, quote unquote, you know, professionally made docks like done by like, you know, Game or GameStop, you know, whatever, American retailers, British retailers, European retailers who made their own. And now all of those are now at risk of bricking your system, and it has already happened to a bunch of people. And yeah, like I think we've said in the previous episode, Brian Altano at IGN, you know, he said he docked his Switch just once on a third-party Switch dock, and his immediately it wouldn't dock anymore in his official dock. Like it wouldn't show up on TV anymore, so he had to play it portably. Then he sent it into Nintendo, and then they formatted his Switch, and he lost all his save data because Switch doesn't have cloud saves. Oh my goodness! So yeah, watch out.
I guess it seems like it's a thing to do with the USB-C connector and maybe the amount of power that's going between whatever cable you have, or, you know, however that works. So that's why I was saying, like, you know, even with some kind of like a charger, I'd be weary to even use something like that, because that stuff freaks me out. I usually like to use official stuff only if I can.
Right. So in case wasn't clear what Danny was saying, like the USB-C is like is a standard, but the Switch isn't quite standard. It's like the power output is not exactly what regular USB-C stuff is. So that like difference in power can kind of like slightly throw it and kind of like fry something in your Switch. So yeah, just watch out for that. And of course, patrons, in case you didn't already read the article, we are not going to use our mini docks anymore. And yeah, we feel a bit bad for like almost kind of like wasting the Patreon money on that, and it kind of sucks. And
well, we can blame James. He made the executive decision.
Yeah, blame me. Also blame Nintendo for not actually having alternate dock options. You know, like they don't sell an official mini dock. You know, they don't sell like a portable adapter.
Was Nintendo transparent about this issue?
Well, they came out and said after the update and people complained that they were being bricked. Yeah. Then they said, well, you know, we don't test third-party docks, so, you know, you shouldn't really be using them. But weirdly, Hori, which is, you know, quite a good third-party accessory manufacturer here in Japan, are coming out with an officially endorsed dock next month, May 2018. So, and it's got the, you know, the official gold, you know, licensed by Nintendo seal. So that means it has been tested by Nintendo, and it looks quite cool. It's like a, you know, one of those travel docks that kind of folds up and stuff. But tons of those travel docks already exist, but none of them are endorsed, checked by Nintendo. Only the one that comes out next month, and it's a decent price. I think it's like maybe less than 5,000 yen. So it's a lot cheaper than an official dock, and it has a lot more options. It's portable, and, you know, etc. etc. So if you really want to get a third-party dock or a portable dock, wait until next month and get the Hori one. And if you got a third-party dock for your birthday or Christmas or something, maybe take it back to the shop quickly and get your money back. So, yeah, that sucks.
Yep.
So, what else have we got, Danny?
Well, next bit of news here. There was kind of like an update out for Super Mario Odyssey. One thing that I did notice, like the biggest thing that you can get here are 2 new costumes available in the game. One is a baseball outfit, and the other is an outfit based on, essentially, it's like a SATELLAVIEW version of Mario that was like used in like promotional materials and stuff.
I love the synergy in this episode. It's like amazing, isn't it? It's almost like we planned the whole thing out here.
Yeah,
SATELLAVIEW, you know.
Yeah, SATELLAVIEW getting a lot of weird love, and you know, I have a theory, and please feel free to call me crazy or be like, you know what, you are absolutely right, because that's what it's probably going to be.
You crazy fool.
So, as we know, and okay, first of all, I'll back up. If you don't know anything about what the SATELLAVIEW was, I mean, yes, you can, you know, play like basically like kind of like downloaded games, from what I understand, but they also had certain times of the day where they would have like a live like broadcaster, basically like saying things for you to do, or, you know, stuff like that. What if the new online system that they are launching has some kind of feature like this built in, and this is just an Easter egg for people that are in the know, that it's just basically like Nintendo just like saying, hey, wink wink, nudge nudge, this is happening. Danny Bivens, you're the only one that knows this. What
okay then. So what else have we got, Danny?
Yeah, probably not gonna happen, but you know, I can.
So karaoke on.
If it happens, we'll all just wear dunce hats the next time.
I'll take it.
Not all
Under
of
the
them.
Famicast.
Danny will.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise Danny will.
Can wear all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So karaoke, Danny, you're a big fan of karaoke on Wii U.
Yeah.
And there was a free day, March 31st. Did you fire it up?
Oh yeah, funny story about that.
You got the microphone. Have you got the Wii U microphone?
I got the Wii U mic that can work on it, and
Right.
I remember even the day that it happened, somebody had tweeted at me and they're like, "Hey, Danny, don't forget you can do this." I'm like, "Yeah, cool, okay," and then I forgot.
Have you got the app installed?
Yeah.
Is it got like all the Mii's and stuff, like how the Wii U version looks like?
Honestly, I've never even opened it up.
Brilliant. Right, because they're trying to get away from Mii's out there on the Switch. So I was wondering if
You know,
they have
maybe I should do some kind of like a video feature of that and like sing some type of song really terribly, and you know, have that up on the YouTube.
I know. I kind of like the Mii's on it. I think I like the personal element of it. But if it is put it like in the back, like they did with the Wii U, that's the best probably implementation you could have. Not as enforced as they try to do with the Wii, because that was a bit too much for me, I'd say.
Right in. Do you want Danny to do a let's play of a karaoke game and sing on the YouTube channel or not?
Yeah.
Let us know. Okay. This one, I just added this one.
Okay.
This is the Snack World, which is kind of a huge game here in Japan. It's like it's not quite Yokai Watch or Pokemon levels, but it's kind of like a Yokai Watch wannabe, I guess.
Yeah. It is level 5, so
yeah. I guess they're just trying to, like, you know, once Yokai Watch gets old, you know, they're hoping that this can take its place or whatever. You know, always good to have a backup, right?
Yeah.
So it is actually coming out on the Switch. It's called the Snack World Treasurer's Gold, which I believe is like treasure, but like treasure as a person, like a treasurer.
Yeah, really? I don't know.
Yeah, like the way it's written in katakana, it's like treasurazu. So it's like, you know, it's the word treasure with razu at the end. Which, anyway, Famitsu gave it a 35 out of 40, which means nothing. Please don't take that as meaning it's a good game. And it's coming out on the 12th, so like, you know, like next week.
And do we know if this is like is it like an up port of the 3DS version that came out before?
I don't. It is like very similar to the 3DS games, but it's just like, you know, like a HD version. I don't know if it's like a third one of like a trilogy or something, or if it's just like, you know, and I bought the first one. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually surprising that we haven't had anything about Yokai Watch.
Yeah,
because we know Pokemon's coming to Switch. Now the Snack World is on Switch, but where's that Yokai Watch?
Yeah. So James, does
I don't know. Maybe it's not doing that well in the West though, in regards to Yokai Watch. Like I know that it hit a few times over here in the West, but I don't hear anyone really talking about it thus far.
Oh yeah. I doubt it would get a Western release for a while, but because Yokai Watch is quite behind, isn't it? Because like Yokai Watch 3 has been out for a while in Japan, and that I don't believe that's got a Western release or even announcement yet, has it?
And
No.
with Yokai Watch, it was weird because I remember when the game first came out, I think it was before they had the anime. So like nobody really cared. Like kids didn't really give a shit.
Well, like Pokemon.
And then the anime came, and then it just exploded. It does seem to have calmed down a little bit here recently.
Yokai Watch. Yeah. I still see the kids playing that. People are still buying the medals and the watches and putting the medals in the watches. But the weird thing about Yokai Watch 3, the video game, is that it's about a Japanese boy going to America. So how the frick do you translate that into English?
I can testify on that. Yeah, in regards to Yokai Watch, with all the folklore in it, like a lot of Englishmen are completely missing out on it. Honestly, I did as well. Like I've only looked at it on a surface level, but many people have explained to me like, oh, this is based on this culture, this is based on this district in Japan, and all that kind of jazz. There's a lot of things that you can't really translate unless you know about it, which is it's sad though, but that's just how things work, I'd say.
The ironic thing is like the third one, because it's based in America, or a Japanese person's view of America. A lot of the yokai.
Hi, James, nice burger you have there.
Right. Yeah, actually, you joke, but I think there are literal burger yokai, and
no.
Yeah, and there's like Boogeyman or the Sandman, more like Western yokai, Western folklore stuff are in that one.
That's cool.
So that would actually, ironically, make more sense to have in English, because people would actually know the story of, the Sandman, for example. But no one knows what the fuck the, farting yokai is all about.
Still don't
like a giant ass that walks around and farts.
Voting for Jack the Ripper yokai.
Yeah. And then the hikikomori yokai is a real thing. Ironically, hikikomori is actually becoming an English word recently. Do you see that, Danny?
No. What?
There was a BBC news article about the hikikomori in Japan, and that actually it's starting to become a condition elsewhere that's like recognized as a thing in some countries in Europe as well, and they're actually calling it hikikomori in English, which is weird. Isn't it great when Japanese words go into other countries,
Well, it is an English word to pronounce for Englishmen, I'd say.
Yeah,
like it's an easy word to pronounce.
Yeah, shame
it's
it has to
like
be
Hokiku or something for them,
right? Hikikomori.
Yeah. That was pesky hikikomoris that keep on popping up over here.
I think it's called Hyderabad in English as well. I remember looking that up. Hyderabad, that's what the English localization was, so it's completely lost.
What? That's just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hikikomori sounds way more mysterious, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right then. Next, Danny, this one's for you.
Okay. The visual novel buddy collection, If Red Threads of Fate. It's coming to the Switch in Japan on April 26th, 800 yen. James, what the hell is
this? Well, people have to know, these like Japan exclusive, eShop games, right? There's not that many, to be honest.
Bubsy collection.
Bubsy collection. I don't know which one it was.
No. Yes.
Yeah, this might have even started as a smartphone game, to be honest. But yeah, it's just like a bunch of visual novels, basically.
Okay.
With boys in. That's why I thought you might like it.
Okay.
Yeah. Next. Spyro. Does anyone like Spyro? There you go.
Okay.
I do. I I can tell you my 2 cents of how my last week was, because this week was like full of the Spyro rumors, and honestly, I've worked with tons of people in the past before, and some of them I'm still in contact with, and one of those people is also like a huge Spyro fan. So when I saw the rumors and such coming up last month, I sent that person a message, and I said, "Oh, look at this Spyro thing! It's actually gonna happen." And then the person spilled up, because that person works pretty close to the game industry, so she kind of knows about all these things. So the person was like, "Oh, I see. Now I can finally talk about it. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad it's finally coming out. You know, it was pretty hard to keep it under the rock for so long." And it's like, yeah, indeed. But I already knew, like,
version?
Yeah.
You should have asked her. So how's the Switch version coming along?
That's a good question. But yeah, at my job, I only had like one other person that was like really into Spyro. So both of us, we were just like behind our desk waiting for that trailer to come out, and it looks lush. But yeah, the Switch version.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I've loads more things to say about it, but in regards to the Switch version, I don't know if there's gonna come one out. I think it probably will, considering what they did with Crash Bandicoot. I don't know if you followed up on that.
That's the rumor, isn't it? It's just going to be like a Crash. You know, it comes out on the Xbox and PS4 first, and then 3 or 4 months later, Switch version.
If Sony struck a deal like that about Crash with Activision, I won't see why that wouldn't happen for something like Spyro. So I can totally see that coming to the Switch eventually. Probably next year though. But definitely, yeah. Maybe it's because Sony just doesn't want to like say it out loud that it's coming out to the Switch. So maybe they I don't know, they paid Activision to not say that for now.
Yeah,
who knows?
That's happened before. It is weird though, because like releasing Crash and Spyro on a Nintendo system which has Mario Odyssey on is kind of like good luck. Is all I can say, because like there isn't really like a Nintendo heritage with those games, because like for example they were like N64, PlayStation 1 time, right? So like N64, we're playing like Mario 64, Banjo Kazooie, to a lesser extent Donkey Kong 64, but like we were kind of like spoilt for choice when it came to 3D platformers. So like Spyro just for Nintendo fans was just kind of like, well, PlayStation doesn't have any of those, so I guess that's their version of it or whatever, their take on it, but and same for Crash, it was never really seen as a threat to Nintendo, in the terms of 3D platformers. So it is interesting that it's now they're all going to be on one system.
Mark Cerny, are you guys familiar with Mark Cerny?
Yeah. PlayStation 4.
Okay, so Mark Cerny once, well, Mark Cerny, he did obviously he did more than the PS4, but he back in the day he used to like promote these massive. He also did that, He tried to like blow up these IPs like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro back in the day. But when when Crash Bandicoot came out, he got an interview, and it was a very rude interview, I'd say. Because it was like right after Mario 64, and everyone was like, Mario 64 is the best game ever, and everything else doesn't count. So when Crash Bandicoot came out, they got a question, and it was like, is Crash Bandicoot a 3D game? Yes, it is. That's the obvious answer. So Mark Cerny said, yes, it's a 3D game. And then they followed up with it saying, and why isn't it a 3D game? That's like that's literally what they said afterwards, because they didn't want to believe that Crash Bandicoot was a 3D game, because you're still like platforming at it, and yet Donkey Kong Country kind of like added more confusion to it, like how it technically works. But that kind of reminds me of when you said like it wasn't a threat, because people didn't treat Crash Bandicoot as if it was.
Oh, Nico.
About it.
Oh, he's back. Hey, Nico, you're back. Sorry, we lost you for a few seconds then.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Did you hear my Mark Cerny story though?
Most of it. Mark Cerny, Crash Bandicoot.
People being rude about the interview. That's about it.
Yeah, for me, my thing was Crash is like, oh, why are you walking towards the camera? That doesn't make sense.
It's
Well,
you know,
it actually makes sense why he does that, though. It's because back then they wanted to experiment with like different directions of walking, and with Crash Bandicoot, they wanted to find a way to let him walk towards the screen. But in order to do that, the player was always trying to inch forward because you can't see what's coming towards you. So the player needed a motive to walk to keep on walking. So what they did instead, they just implemented this boulder into Crash Bandicoot, so the player would always have an incentive to keep on moving. It's really clever how they made these levels back in the day. But it's also cool that they work with Universal and such, and Universal also made Indiana Jones. And there were a few moments where Steven Spielberg met up with the with the film crew, and he was like 2 stores down whilst they were making stages with the boulders and such. And I remember that the guys behind Crash Bandicoot were like, "Oh, please let him not come upstairs and sue us," because what Universal was like in the 80s with game developers. They were just like, "Yep, you took our idea, we're gonna sue you now." So yeah, they kind of dodged the bullet with that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. In that PlayStation Anthology book, they were interviewing somebody that was like a real key member in the Crash Bandicoot team and stuff. And just it was interesting just reading about the development of the game. And like like you said, they weren't really trying to themselves. They weren't really trying to compete with Mario. I mean, they were doing their own thing, and then Mario was kind of unveiled and whatever, And it was like an interesting story. They even got Miyamoto to actually come over and play, their game.
He was impressed.
Yeah. He was smiling.
He looks at his colleague being like, "We got a competitor, kid. We have a problem right now."
Yeah.
You're still talking about Crash Bandicoot?
Yes.
Yeah, Spyro, yeah, right? No,
okay.
in regards of the Reignited trilogy, I'm looking really forward to it because it's Spyro. It's great. And they have Tom Kenny back on board, which, if you guys don't know who Tom Kenny is, he's basically the guy behind the SpongeBob voices.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also did the voice of Spyro, believe it or not.
Okay.
Would be great if they could add Clancy Brown back in, but they haven't announced that yet.
Fun fact, the whole of SpongeBob SquarePants series has just been added to Japanese Netflix for the first time ever.
Oh, seriously?
Awesome.
Really?
Yep, like as of yesterday.
Oh, cool.
But does it come with like Japanese voices, or
you can choose? You can choose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are the voices any good?
I don't put the Japanese voices on.
I've heard them before. They're not too bad. It's pretty.
It's a high pitched
faithful
voice. It's not too hard to do in Japanese.
Patrick sounds like a dummy. Squidward still sounds like a jerk. I mean, it's fine.
There you go. Right then, next up, we've got Travis Strikes Again. No More Heroes. A little bit of news came out of what is PAX East. Thank you. So Suda51, probably through a translator. Let's be honest. He had an interview, and he talked a little bit more about the adventure mode. So apparently, it does have a story-focused adventure mode with Travis Touchdown and Badman, which is his rival, and they have to basically search the real world for games to bring back to their Death Drive Mark II console, which is like their made-up console, which I guess is like a throwback to the Master System, which is like the Mark III, right? Or Mark II.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, it's got 2 stories that you can play through as Badman or Travis Touchdown. So yeah, there is going to be like a proper story mode to it, in case people were wondering. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So they have to get the games and bring them back, which is the whole trope, isn't it? They've got all those different styles in the game and stuff. And apparently this still isn't called No More Heroes 3 because he's actually using this to have the opportunity to make No More Heroes 3, which is it's kind of weird.
I thought it was a spin-off, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is basically a spin-off. So like if this is successful, then they'll have enough money to make a real No More Heroes 3, which is kind of an interesting thing to say. Yeah. We always assumed that this was No More Heroes 3, but they were just going a different route for it, but I guess not. What else have we got? Runbow. Does anyone like Runbow?
You mean the movies?
The movies? No, the platform games developed by 13 AM Games.
Oh, Runbow. Sorry.
Runbow. What did?
I'm
Oh,
totally
Rambo.
sorry.
Did you think I was of Rambo?
Yeah. Sorry. I was like, what? And then I read the text. I was like, oh.
Rambo's
Rambo. Yeah,
next-
Rambo's coming to Rambo.
Yeah.
He's a new playable character. No, the developers have announced a new game called Double Cross, and basically it's like a platform adventure game. It's got like grapple hooks and stuff. Kind of similar art style to Rumbo, which is like high contrast colors and stuff like that. So yeah, they announced that on their Twitter a few days ago. A lot of stuff coming out of PAX, I guess. Okay, Danny, are you still there?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Okay, ARMS.
Yeah, it looks like we have another ARMS Party Crash coming up. This is going to be from April 13th to April 16th. The fighters this time are Min Min and Helix, a.k.a. what's his name in Japanese? DNA Man, right?
DNA Man, that's right. You got it. Mr. DNA.
And that's worldwide, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Have you actually played in any of these Party Crash ones? I haven't.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
so if you play as one of those characters, you get points or coins?
You get more experience than what you would normally if you're playing. And
okay,
there's like different goals and stuff like that, like throughout the event. And basically, the more you play, the more points you get. You get a ridiculous amount of points. It's
nice.
Fun.
Okay, maybe I should play that because I see it as like ARMS' version of a Splatfest, but like I don't really see the benefit as much.
No, you just you get more coins in game that you could use to unlock, ARMS and stuff. So
nice. Okay. Well, I guess in the Splatfest, you don't actually get to keep the T-shirt that you get, do you?
Yeah, which I don't understand that.
I really don't know why they don't that, because it would be such a cool like memento, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like I played in the Pokemon Splatfest, and I got my Pokemon T-shirt.
I signed up for it, but didn't participate, or something.
Is that what you usually do?
Yeah, usually.
But you get your sea snails. So yeah, there is actually a Splatfest starting actually right now during recording in America and Europe. They are starting simultaneously, but they're actually separate. So America/Australia, as we learnt in a previous episode, Australia for some reason takes part in America's one. Yeah,
and with the last Splatfest that was out in Japan, the shoes, the Nike.
Oh yeah,
it like?
Do you actually play that one?
Yeah, I got the T-shirt and I signed up for which side I wanted to go for, but I just didn't.
Loser.
Yeah, I think I was busy watching Netflix all day with my wife that day.
What an asshole!
Yeah.
So yeah, the American one is baseball versus soccer. I don't know what soccer is.
What the hell are they thinking? Soccer's gonna fucking lose.
That is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, basketball versus baseball? Or...
Yeah, basketball or like American football versus baseball or something. I mean, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, make any sense. No.
It's actually, if they did that one in Europe, that would also make no sense, because if it was football versus baseball,
soccer would win.
Yeah.
Like
I think they would file complaints because it's not soccer over here.
Well, no, even if they called it football, like football versus baseball, I mean, it'd be like 0 to 100 votes.
Yeah.
Like no one even knows what baseball is,
Yeah.
But the European one is actually another very weird one. Not as bad as toilet roll facing forwards and backwards, but this is salt versus sweet popcorn, which is a weird thing because that's what we have in the UK. But I don't know anyone who likes salt popcorn.
What?
In the UK, like every single time it would be like you go to the cinema in the UK, the salt will be full of popcorn and the sugar will be like almost gone every single time. I never see anyone buying salt than anyone who likes salt.
Wow.
I mean, I know a few people that like salt popcorn, but the problem more is that if you have to choose between either one of them, you will probably choose for sweet anyways. Yeah.
Man, my mom used to make popcorn like almost every night, and
What?
seriously, My mom loves popcorn.
She loves the movies.
Yeah, well, just loves popcorn. But yeah, man, like I just got so used to eating salted popcorn. It just sounds strange to me to have it sweet. I mean, caramel corn, caramel corn, however the hell you say it over there. That's fine, but like I need a little bit of salt with mine. But the thing is, you get popcorn at an American movie theater. Typically, well, for me at my theaters, you had to add the salt yourself, and the thing's already really freaking full. So like I'd have to just dump a crap load on the top and hope that it just got down to the bottom, and it never did.
Weird.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it's kind of like when you buy chips and you get like a bag of ketchup with it.
Wow.
Yeah, but then you just get the salt jar with it.
I had a terrible moment when I first arrived in Japan. I went to the first cinema experience in Japan, and I went in expecting to have the option of salt versus sweet, but then the option was salt or butter, and I just dropped to my knees and went, no.
I've made a mistake.
Yeah,
that was weird. But things have drastically changed. Like since I came to Japan like 14 years ago, like things are very different now. Like you get like caramel, like chocolate, like you get anything you want now. Like the cinema that I usually go to in Shinjuku, the Godzilla one, the Toho Cinemas one. Like you can get the chocolate and caramel box, which is like basically half chocolate and half caramel. Or you can just or you can choose caramel, sweet, butter, anything you want. It's really good. So I'm really glad they've changed.
The one I go to, there's only 3 choices. You can get salt, butter and soy sauce, or caramel corn.
Oh, there you go.
But I like the butter. I want the butter and salt, but I can't get it.
Yeah, I could maybe get behind a combination of like a salt and a sweet, hopefully with more salt, hopefully with more sweet. But just entirely salt, I just don't get that. It's going to be like drinking. You're going to be going to the toilet 6 times during a movie. Because you're going to have to drink so much to balance out the salt.
That's why you just finish up your glass, and then you got a receptacle there.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Thinking ahead.
Right. Please do not piss into your Coke cups in the cinema. Just a little public service announcement there. Okay. Next one. Oh, this is kind of like just before going live. I found out about this one. Firewatch from Campo Santo is coming to the Switch this spring, which is pretty cool. So that could be in the next couple of months. Could be next month, month after. Who knows? That's cool. I definitely a good fit for Switch. I think Firewatch.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah, that should be fun. Has anyone played it?
I played a bit of it, but for me, it's more the art style that I really dig in that one.
It's got like a photo mode as well, right? You can get like the photos developed if you send them off to the developer.
I just love that they, because Ollie Moss is a very great designer out there, and he inspired like multiple other projects. But the fact that he was integrated within the Firewatch production, I think is incredible, because usually they just hire a third party and it's like, okay, do this for us, please. But instead of, doing that, they said, okay, come with us and we're going to work together, bounce back and forward constantly so that we get this integrated experience. So it's so integral that when you make designs that it actually fits what you're looking for, rather than just like, top it up, check it off the list is what I'm saying. Right. So yeah,
because
it's
Ollie
very
Moss
good.
Does a lot of it does a lot of movie posters, that, like, after the fact, after the movie's already come out, he does his own version of movie posters, and they're incredible. But like, if he gets asked to do things, he's actually started doing stuff in 3D now as well. If you follow him on Twitter, he did like his little characters that he does in 3D, and they're absolutely incredible. It's like totally amazing. I'd love to see those in video games.
Oh, well, now that you say that, if you go to, like, I'm gonna cheeky do this anyways. If you go to Twitter and look up iWilding, which is a designer that works for the Yeti, he's pretty much the Ollie Moss of video game posters. You will love it. That's all I'm gonna say. Just look him up on Twitter, and you will love his stuff. He's insanely talented.
Nice. What's his name again?
iWilding or Ian Wilding. So if you just look up iWilding, you'll find him. I'll send it through the DM to you.
Nice. So Danny, you ready for some My Nintendo news? You fucking love it, don't you?
Yes.
You ready for this? My Nintendo Europe. They updated all their rewards. Do you want to know how many amazing Switch rewards they had on?
17.
It's gonna blow your mind. Nothing.
Yeah.
Fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of Wii U and 3DS themes. Brilliant.
What?
Yeah, you can get a Breath of the Wild theme for your 3DS because that makes
that's
sense.
nice. Now it can be relevant again in 2012.
So yeah, they're still just well, I think now they've got the gold coins thing. They're like, oh, that's your fucking Switch rewards. Enjoy that. They're not going to give you any discounts because you're getting your own discounts now. So, which kind of sucks. I'm still waiting for my 40% off Mario Kart voucher. So I can.
We wait a long time, brother.
Yep, that's a lot of coins.
Yes.
Okay, and we're gonna wrap up news with some exciting charts.
Charts.
Everyone loves charts. Actually, we've got not as many Nintendo titles in the top 10 this week. Probably because a lot of big games are coming out on the PS4. So PS4, Monster Hunter World is at number 10. That's almost up to 2 million sales in Japan alone. Number 9 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 8 is Detective Pikachu. The re-release, the physical re-release with the amiibo and everything. That's almost up to 60,000 now. And then we've got Ni no Kuni 2, a game which probably should be on Switch, but it isn't. Shining Resonance. Then we've got number 5, Splatoon 2, including the bundles and everything. That's now almost 2.2 million in Japan alone. Jesus. Number 4 is Kirby. I almost said Scurby. Kirby Star Arise.
Arise.
That's almost 360,000. It's doing all right. Number 3 is Super Robot Wars X on the PlayStation Vita. Oh no, is that PSVR or PlayStation Vita?
Vita.
That's weird. Throwing me.
Vita.
There you go. Nico, you've got your PlayStation Vita game in the top 3.
I got something to do next week.
Get your Super Robot Wars game on. And then number 2 is Far Cry 5. And number 1 is Super Robot Wars X, the same game as the PlayStation Vita game, but on PS4. So it's the same game on twice. So Bandai Namco wins this week. And as for hardware, Switch is pretty much destroying everything. 44,000 in this week. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro combined were probably like 25,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much dominating. So yeah, but the good news is Switches are quite easily available now. Like I've even seen Splatoon 2 bundles available, which until now I'd never seen like on the store shelf before. And the Mario Odyssey ones as well seem to be easy enough to get if you're there at the right time. And Vita, since we're talking about Vita in this episode for some reason, sold 4,000 this week. And Xbox, man, this is kind of like takes us back to when we used to do this a lot more frequently. Xbox One X and Xbox One combined is, let's say, about 150.
Yeah,
not 1,000, not 1,000, 150.
I knew it was bad in Japan in regards to the Xbox with that. Like if you can say, oh, the Vita sold 25 times more than the Xbox, it says a lot.
Exactly.
That's an alternative universe over here.
You could actually just name all 80 people who bought the Xbox One X this week.
They probably comes with some kind of special placard or something, from Japan office. But thank you so much for supporting us. We're going out of business, but
that's right.
Fuck it, here you go. This is made of gold.
You guys own an Xbox then.
Yeah.
So. You are one of 80 I bought it this week. So yeah. So they separate all the 3DS versions for some reason. The new 2DS LL is selling the best. That's the the orange and white ones, that the without the 3D,
yep.
The giant one, and then the new 3DS LL. Wait a minute, new 3DS LL.
Yeah.
And then the 2DS is the last one. So weird. So I guess they're only selling new versions of consoles now, except
they
the regular.
discontinued the other models a couple years back.
But the 2DS, then just the regular 2DS, they're still selling that one. That must be dirt cheap, though, right?
It's a budget. I'm off for Japan. It's like 10,000 yen, probably like $5.
That's the doorstop one, right?
Than other regions, but yeah.
There you go. Boom. So that's the end of the Japanese.
Cool.
So we'd like to ask, what question can we ask our listeners to answer? Which game are you looking forward to the most that we talked about in news or new business? The Snack World, Spyro, Travis Strikes Again. What's the other one? Double Cross. Let us know what you're looking forward to in the next couple of months. Yeah, I don't think that's in the next couple of months, but yeah.
Oh well. Okay.
So Danny, you were looking for SATELLAVIEW game to review, right?
Yeah.
Talk about maybe that's also a good question for the audience to ask. Like, okay, SATELLAVIEW game are you interested about?
Yeah, and, I mean, as long as I can get it,
That's very true. Yeah,
it's like, hey, you could get this for like a couple $1,000s. Like, well, sorry, guys.
We guarantee Danny will buy any SATELLAVIEW game he wants out of his own pocket.
Yes.
Don't worry, your Patreon money will be safe.
Yes.
We'll get there eventually.
Right then. So before we move on to feedback, as I alluded to earlier in this episode, I paid a visit to Akihabara a few days ago. But the reason was we had a special guest visiting Japan, and that was TYP. So let's listen to what he had to say when we met up. Apologies to video viewers. We don't have it. You have to listen to the audio version if you want to hear it. Right then. So yeah, it was cool to meet up with TYP after such a long time. And if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who runs the Radio Trivia podcast back on NintendoWorldReport.com, the kind of quiz show, video game music show podcast, which is a good listen to if you like video game music. And you basically like listen along and kind of guess what game it is, and then he reveals it after 3 songs have played. I kind of like ripped off his idea for Famicast sound test. But mine's a lot easier than his. Yeah, hopefully you guys like listen to the last episode of that, by the way, about fighting games. Got some. Oh yeah, we got some comments about that. But if I read the comments, it's kind of spoilers to what's on the show, so I won't read it. But thank you for the comments on sound test.
I'll read them though. So
there we go. All right then, on to some feedback.
Cool. Well, if you have a question or just want to send us some kind of general whatever, you can send us an email at thefamicast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at thefamicast, Facebook, the Famicast, right here on YouTube.com/thefamicast, and you can find us and have your whatever read out on the air like these guys.
I'm just thinking, people don't use email anymore, do they? Twitter basically is the length of an email now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you got like enough in Twitter, and now you can like thread tweets together as well. People don't use email. Just tweet at us. We're going to see it.
It's available. If you haven't joined the social media revolution, then there's still that option.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, people like Greg Leahy, he doesn't have social media. So yeah, we had an iTunes review, which Danny will talk a bit more about later. It's from Rich. He said, "A great show for anyone interested in Nintendo and/or Japan. Give it a listen. You won't be sorry." It's almost sounding like a threat.
Yeah.
You better listen.
Yes.
You'll be sorry. But thank you, Rich, for your slightly threatening iTunes review. Much appreciated. Next is from TYB, the guy who you just listened to, me talk to. He was asking us, can you use Suica cards for purchases in the Japanese Switch eShop? So Suica cards, in case you don't know, the train passes that use IC chip technology. And the answer, Danny, is?
No, you cannot.
Oh, you can't? All right.
You can do it on new 3DS. You can do it on the Wii U, but as of right now, it doesn't. They don't have that feature turned on, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because the Switch does have NFC.
Yeah.
The right control stick, right?
Yeah.
Behind the right control stick. So yeah, I guess it could be patched in. I think they probably will.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, it wasn't initially available with the Wii U. It took a couple of years,
Right.
and then it came out for the 3DS as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, do Nintendo have to pay a charge to this, whatever Japan Rail or whatever, whoever owns Suica, like with every payment, maybe they lose a certain percentage when people pay buy that?
I would imagine, it's, if you think about, even debit cards and stuff like that. When those first started out, a lot of, especially, I don't know about Europe or anything, but in the States, some like retailers kind of shied away from it because there were like fees associated with it. But those fees came down over time, and I mean, you can find those readers on all sorts of different things here. You can, just go to like a vending machine, like in your neighborhood, and do that. So,
right.
Yeah,
it would be convenient. I would like that. Suica payments system is just so much more convenient to just boom, just touch your card, beep, paid for, done.
Yeah,
within seconds.
Yeah, it's a pity, but I bet it'll come eventually. At least for Japan. If you're outside of Japan, well, sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. There are other. Nico, in your home country in the UK, are they using IC chips, like just touching cards, or is it still like chip and pin, like put the card in?
Yes and no. Because obviously I originate from the Netherlands, and I've been obviously I'm just here as an intern in the UK. But in the UK we don't. We use a very complicated system where you have like off-peak and super off-peak and that kind of stuff, and it's insanely expensive because everything of it's private. However, saying that, in the Netherlands, everything in regards to the public transport with trains is actually public service. So that it's owned by the government. And the benefit of it is we basically have, I don't know if you're familiar with London's Oyster cards.
Yeah.
But it's essentially that. So you just you clock in and you clock out where you want to go in and out, and that's it. And you put money on the card, and that's how you use it. So that's how we travel in the
those are all based on the Japanese Suica card system, which I believe.
Thank you, because I love that system. I love it, and I want the UK to do the exact same thing, but they probably won't.
it's just London that has the Oyster card system, right? I think that's
it's probably due to the traffic of it, because it's on max. Like, I don't know if you've been before in London, but the business of the metro and the underground is so heavy that it has to drive on max all the time. So they have to implement a system like that in order to make sure people can go from here to there. But it's just a revolutionary system. Every problem that you have with tickets are just gone with it, and that's why I love it. So I'm glad to see that Japan has integrated that as well, or at least invented it.
Do they integrate those with smartphones as well now?
I think they do in the Netherlands.
Oyster
I'm
card.
Not sure about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that we're trying to put more things into our phone right now, but I can imagine that something like that is already possible. But it's literally just a card, and you scan it over a pole, and that's it. What you do in the Netherlands, or through gates sometimes.
Because it's weird, because even the flip phones had Suica card built in 2006 in Japan, but it took the iPhone 7 before they had NFC chips in it. I think Android had.
Yeah, Android. There's been a lot of options for Android, but for iPhones,
iPhone 7 and the Apple Watch. Now you can pay by Suica with your Apple Watch. Just put your watch on the thing.
Yeah, I have a Sony phone and also has NFC on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Okay. Next question is from Terence, hacker alias TOP Topolk. And yeah, good Splatoon player as well. I played with him quite recently, actually. Great Splatoon player. Lots of fun. He asked, why is Hyrule Warriors on Switch on sale? Is it one of those, hey, we know we're triple dipping here, have a slight discount?
Yeah, so this goes back to something I had tweeted out on our Twitter, and before Hyrule Warriors came out here, it was already marked down to like 10% off. I think this maybe seriously, as maybe like as an incentive, like he says, to be like, I'm sorry, this is the third version of the game. Will you please buy me again? So
that's quite shocking to have a discount on a first-party game at launch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it is, Tecmo Koei, so yeah, and it's expensive anyways. I forgot how much it was, maybe around like 8,000 yen or something.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's it's like $80. Probably like about five pounds, right?
Try more like £60.
Yeah, same thing. I got a conversion rate right up here in my head.
There you go. So yeah, I guess that answers your question. Yeah, some games are ridiculously expensive in Japan. Usually RPGs, right?
Yeah, it
they
depends
can go
on
up to like 8,000-9,000 yen.
Yeah, usually depends on the publisher. They usually kind of.
I'd say that with every RPG everywhere, because in the UK, for instance, we have the Secret of Mana that came out for PS4, and I've only seen it like I've been everywhere in Bristol, but I've only seen it like once, and it was in a CEX secondhand for £28 when it came out. It was like 32 when it initially launched, but I was like, I'm just gonna buy it this secondhand because this game is probably going to be rare over time because they printed a ridiculously low amount of them. So yeah, RPGs are always expensive, sadly. It's a shame, I'd say.
It's also meant to be quite bad, so good luck.
Yeah.
Next, we have a tweet from this. This is kind of weird. His name and his hacker name are kind of like the opposite. His name is the Savvy Millennial, but his Twitter name is Greg Lesko. So it should be the other way around, really. Anyway, he says, come fight me on Fantasy Strike. I'm in Kyoto, so it all but guarantees a good connection. So this is a fighting game that's coming to Switch, but it's already on Steam. So he was actually challenging us to play him on Steam. He says, I love it, and I've been playing fighting games since the 90s, but I think it's probably my favorite. His favorite fighting game. So
sorry,
yeah,
I thought the game was called Fight Me for a second.
Fight Me, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, yo, man, fight me in Kyoto.
Fight Me in Kyoto. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, Fantasy Strike. Have you guys seen this game?
Yeah.
It's the I think we talked about it maybe last episode. So it's like by Serlin Games, and it's supposed to be like, simplify the fighting game genre by just having like just forward and a button instead of like half circles or whatever. But yeah, it looks really good, and I don't know if it's going to have crossplay between Steam and Switch. We still don't know that. That is the dream. But yeah, it looks really good, and obviously, sorry, what's his name? And obviously, Greg is having a lot of fun. He's playing the Switch version. So yeah, if you buy the Steam version. Greg, if you buy the Switch version, yeah, I'll play with it. Why not? Looks good. Next one is from a guy called Ty Shugat at Super Cat Drugs. Never heard of him. He says, lol, maybe it's time for me to get a Switch. And he has a link to the Fetish Cosplay coming to Nintendo Switch, which is a very weird game. I think it's based on an Android smartphone game where you can, like, I don't know if the game is free or like it's very, very cheap, and then you buy like packs of like costumes. This is like Japanese model in various, costumes and
anime models or like actual people.
Actual models.
Oh.
No, I think it's model. It's a woman wearing various costumes, which is free on Android, but it's like not free on Switch. So yeah, good luck with that.
It's like, okay, yeah, you just go to the convenience store and just get a magazine. I mean, come on.
Oh, there's this thing called the internet?
Yeah, I did it for free. But maybe, I get it. Some people are collectors and they just need this exclusive version of this or that.
There you go.
Yeah,
you
gotta do what you gotta do.
So yeah, keep them coming at the Famicast on Twitter, and we'll read them out next time.
Yep.
Right then, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, before we go ahead and close out the show entirely, the last episode,
yes.
yeah. So we put out not a challenge.
A threat.
Quite the opposite of a challenge, I guess. It's we're talking about doing a giveaway for some eShop credit. I was going to go ahead and give away $10 on the North American shop, and all you needed to do was leave us a review on that iTunes. And so we're still going to keep it running because we want more people to actually enter. But this time, it's not just going to be basically it's still the same contest. Write us a review and then take some kind of a screen cap of it and send it to us on Twitter. Not only are you going to be eligible to win $10 from the North American eShop games, we have something else as well.
That's right. Video viewers will be able to see this. This is a 1,500 yen Japanese eShop prepaid card, which you can also win. So it's a double whammy. That's like what's that? Total value of whatever, $25 in total, but across 2 different eShops.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to buy that all those pornography games from the Japanese eShop with ease.
Famicast is being Fami generous.
There you go. So yeah, nice little Yoshi prepaid card. I'll probably just scratch off the code and just email it to be honest. I don't think I'll bother posting this to your home country. That'd be a waste of resources. But yeah, this will be yours. And Danny, have you got one of the cards, or are you just going to send the code?
It's going to be a code. So
okay, there you go. Laser.
Yes.
So yeah, send us write us a review, screen cap it, and send it to us on Twitter, and you will enter. So we're going to run it through April.
Yeah, let's go ahead and end it. At the end of April, we're gonna go ahead and call it quits with that. So be sure to get that in. Also,
time to get moving.
What's that?
Time to get moving.
Yes. One other thing about that too, if you've already reviewed us before on any store or whatever, and you're following us on Twitter, you're going to be automatically entered in too. So there you go.
There you go. If I were you, I would actually just screen cap it and send it again, just so Danny doesn't forget.
Yeah, I'm a forgetful person. So yes, do these things.
There we go. So that's a wrap.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for the show. We're going to go ahead and give out our Twitter handles. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at DannyBiv, DANNYBIV. James, where can we find you?
I'm at Famicomplicated. Please do enjoy.
Cool. And Nico, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter, and you can follow me with the hashtag, with the @ symbol, what up, Nico? WHADDUP, and then Nico with a C.
Cool.
It's a bit of a complicated one, but you can probably find it
Nico?
somewhere. Description. Yeah, it was one of those Twitter phases, where people were like, "Oh, let's just make it like a funny tag," and I stood with it. Like I just ran with it for a few years.
Yeah. Well, I'm a more sophisticated man, so hey.
Yeah.
Not even close.
So Nico, can the thing that we started off this episode talking about, your amazing logos that you redrew? So are these basically like free use? Should people ask you before using them, or are they just free to use?
So what I did initially with the rules is that obviously I do not own these logos. They're all owned by the respective owners, so Nintendo, Capcom, Konami, that kind of stuff. Right. So if you want to use it for commercial usage, please contact them first. I know it's very tempting to put that on the shirt because it's a vector file and just sell it for loads of money, but I'm not affiliated with that kind of stuff because my purpose for it was, like I said, for preservation, for fair use. So if you want to review a game, let's say, and for educational purposes, if you want to make history channels and that kind of stuff. So you can use it by any means for that, but if you want to earn money off of it, please contact the original owner for that first. That's basically what it was for.
From our experience with Amazon, they will just quickly clamp down on that anyway. They won't even let you sell it on Amazon and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they will most likely, yeah. But the point isn't these logos are not made to just be like, okay, let's just put that on the shirt and earn tons of money off of it. Because people love it. Yeah.
Fun fact: we tried to we have some Famicast T-shirts for sale on Amazon, and we tried to sell one with which Cyrus drew. One of the Famicast members, he drew a Switch, but in the Super Famicom style. And that wasn't allowed to be sold on Amazon, even though he drew it. It's ridiculous, right?
Did Nintendo pick up on it or something?
Yeah, it just got rejected immediately because it was like, you know, the shape of the Switch or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Officially, they own that design.
That's where the lines get a bit gray, because like it's an interpretation and it's far away from the original design. So
that's right.
Yeah. It's not worth it going into that territory. But yeah, you don't need my permission. You don't need my credit. Just use them for whatever. They're there for everyone. It's open source, basically.
Credit the man. Come on, he put a lot of hard work in. You can't
credit me. I always like to call it an interpretation, because that's how I look at them. I was like, okay, I think this is what the logo looks like if you make it digital. So if you want to call it like anything, just say like reimagined by, I suppose.
There we go. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
No worries, man. It was a lot of fun. I love talking about video games, so this is great.
All right, cool. Well, that's going to bring Famicast 1, 2, 3 to a close. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next time. See you later.
Peace.
See you later.